it's not starting out for films, particularly for independent films in Ireland, a great summer because of the weather. The weather is just way too hot.
It's not summer
And the
weather.
world
at all.
Great for crappy summer.
I'm hoping for some rain around the July 13th for about a week.
That shouldn't be a difficult.
Yeah. If you want the rain, it won't come. You know.
Hello, no budgeters. We're delighted to welcome to the studio today Liam O Mocháin. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's it, O Mocháin.
That's O Mocháin. He's a filmmaker who's created this feature film called Lost and Found. So tell us a bit about this feature film.
It's 7 interconnected stories. The first one is set in a lost and found office at an Irish train station over one day, and all the main people that come in are the main characters then of the other stories. And each of the stories are inspired by true stories, and they share characters. Characters jump in and out of different stories, so they might be a main character in one, might be a support in the other, might be talked about in a different one, and then items also jump. You find out about different items, what happened to them, you know what I mean? So it's all that kind of, and then 2 of the stories were filmed at a train station, and the other 5 are filmed in different places within the location or community that train station is. We also shot another story set in Ireland and Poland, and all of that was in Laois, even the Poland part, because it was set at a farmhouse in Poland, and the particular area.
Incredible. You recreated Poland.
We did,
in the Midlands.
We did, and we did all the signs for it, the Polish signs for the area that it's set in, plus all the car stuff. We had Polish actors, all their costumes. I looked at the particular town that this story was based in, and or area, and it happens to be countryside that looks really like Ireland.
Oh, really?
So then I found a 300-year-old house in Laois, which happens to be the back of the bar from one of the other stories. And also in that area, all the houses are a couple of 100 years old, and they all would have been made of concrete. So it's true to the sort of, and I thought, well, if you can recreate it here, why fly all the way over to Poland when you have there's theatre companies here as well in Ireland that are Polish theatre companies, so I got them involved. And then we also did a wedding story. We did the proposal story first in Dublin Airport, and we got complete access, except...
And how, was that difficult to get access?
It was difficult, and it wasn't, because we contacted them about, I think, 2.5 months before we were ready to shoot, and gave the script to a really lovely woman called Siobhan O'Donnell, and she's the head PR person out there, and she looked at it and she said, okay, it's all fine except for one scene, which is the place that you go through the security, where you go through. I said, you can't shoot there.
Yes, I was reading that was the one place, and that forced you to do a rewrite.
I had to rewrite the ending of it and find a different way of doing it, which hopefully we won't give away. But, so we did that there, and it was a day and a half. Yeah, so a day and a half there.
It's fascinating because we've interviewed a lot of people on the show about, short films and feature films and stuff, but this particular one, I mean, it kind of reminded me nearly of Boyhood, which is the only film that I've heard of that's just probably taken as long or longer.
Well, some documentaries do as well.
5 years of a passion project.
And did you set out to create, did you have a plan to create these 7 films, or did it kind of develop as you went along?
Well, I had done a feature that had finished in 2007, set in the toilets of a late night jazz bar, and it took about 2 years to make that, and I just thought, it was a long process, it cost a bit of money, and I just thought, okay, I want to take a break, I want to go make some shorts. So I made a short, and then I thought, okay, shorts are lovely, but they, you might show them, which I have on RT2, and you show them at festivals, and then that's it, and then that's it. You come to festivals, it's gone. So I thought, okay, let's see if I can make a feature over time. So I had the idea of, a lost and found, interconnected stories, and I thought, and then go and make each one every year, or 1 to 2 each year, and so that it's easier to get a crew to come together for 3 or 4 days, on a certain amount of money.
Makes sense, I suppose,
than if you have somebody for 20 days, it's a completely different beast, So, and I just thought, okay, I can raise the money every year to do each of them, 1 or 2, depends. Like, say if a story took 2 days to shoot, we wouldn't just make one of those. We'd put 2 of them together.
That's fascinating, because I've never heard of an independent film that's been done that way. Okay, Boyhood is probably the ultimate example of, I think that was 14 years long or something, which tracks a guy's life practically in real time. But most independent films are put together, and it's an exhaustive process where you get towards the end and everybody breaks up, practically. But that's one of the few examples I've heard of.
I think it's the only Irish one, actually.
Sustain it for 5 years.
You mentioned there about funding as well. So how did you go about funding this film?
Well, I paid for it myself because I wasn't sure at any point whether it was going to come together, which is why I made them kind of like shorts. So I thought if it doesn't come together, I have a whole series of shorts that I can send out to festivals. And the first few, like the first 2 or 3 of them as it was going along, I sent them to festivals all over the world, but I never sent any one to the same festival, if you know what I mean. So I would send one out to maybe 3 or 4 festivals just to get an idea whether it was working, whether the characters were working, whether people would engage with it. And I talk to the audience and see, and I go, okay, I think I'm going to take this character and bring them back or whatever, you know, or just, you know what I mean. So I did that, and then after the 3, I went, okay, now I'll finish the rest of them, and it works. And I thought, okay, if the whole project just falls apart, at least I have a few shorts out of it.
That's a good fail-safe, yeah.
You know, it was a
kind of like a Brexit's backstop agreement, you know.
Kind of, yeah.
But you got great characters as well, great actors, Even
Mary
Garrahy,
Even Garrahy, Brendan Conroy, who actually myself and Milo worked with.
Right.
You know, so and they came back as well.
We do, yeah. I I did it in a particular way that I just thought that was a smart, way of doing it is I would shoot, if I shot 2 stories together, I would shoot, say, the 2 where somebody was a main in one and a main support in the other, so that, you know, I would hope that they, just in case they wouldn't come back, you know. So I did that, and the only one that everybody had to come back for was the opening one, and I did the opening one last, so that I would know which stories we had done and which storylines hadn't been tied up. So I was able to tie them up in the opening one. So you see all the people, and then you know who's coming after that. Whereas if you did the first one first, and then if you didn't get on with a particular actor or somebody, or they didn't want to come back, you were kind of, it wasn't good.
Sometimes it could be tough to tie down an actor
so
for a summer. I mean, to sustain it for 5 years is pretty impressive.
And you're talking about 21 actors that have a main character in at least one of them. You know, there's 21 different people, you know, who are in one or 2 stories at least.
And these are like, they're inspired by real stories.
Yes.
Was there something that hit you originally that you thought, do you have to make a film about this?
I don't know. I had started off with 10 stories, like 10 different stories in a schedule, and by the end, I think by the time the whole project was finished, I'd only used 5 of them, and then 2 new ones came along as we were filming. So 2 new ones kind of came in there, and I kind of wanted to sort of curate it as well, the stories where you're not going, you know, sad, happy, you know, and whatever. I kind of wanted to give it a sort of an up and down sort of feel to it, and also there's a logic to which stories have to come before which, because, you know, if there's a wedding and a proposal, you can't have one. Well, I suppose you could just knock them on their head and turn them upside down.
There's kind of a romanticism to it as well. Like, you meet this guy, you tell the story of meeting a guy with a suitcase who in Marrakesh airport, and he's living there, and he's telling these different stories to people, and that inspired you. That was kind of an inspiring story about how that was a seed to
I mean, that was at a bus station in Marrakesh, and this guy just kept telling everybody he was going off to London in a bus station, going off to London to see his sister, and he had pretty much all his worldly goods on him, or worldly, you know, materials on him, and I just thought, I wonder if this is for real. You know, and I didn't quite, and I was kind of feeling bad for actually questioning whether or not it was real, but it just didn't feel right. So I thought, okay, I like that story, so I'll kind of use that.
So check out the trailer for Lost and Found.
Someone left this on the Dublin to Galway train.
Well, they won't be hard to spot.
Yeah, it's amazing what people leave behind.
This was left on the train.
There's a baby in there?
Yes.
You can't leave it here.
You want to propose while we're up in the air?
Oh, show me it! The ring! Oh!
How about the new French bakery? It looks good.
Joe, I'm not interested.
He's not here, Sheila.
What?
Did you know the deceased?
Yeah, kind of.
I've done it this time.
They'll be flocking down here now any minute.
Of course they will.
Excuse me. Sorry, can you help me?
Any person who paid their respects to him inherited his estate.
Really?
What was valuable was packed up and buried in the back garden.
Where's the house, Gran?
fáilte
probably
an
finished.
chlár, no budget. Okay, so inistán mé ar the obair le TG Gahar agus
well, aon duna bhfuil gailge acu ag éigen in the seal dúna tú rud ag le TG Gahar nó rud na gaeltacht nó den ag mar sin. So rinne mis golóir PC bag le cólacht ar ben Madeira Productions. Bhí siad san bhí chlár acu Hollywood a Nocht. So bhí me mar an léirhesathóir agus scéalta gossip ar an chláir sin.
An raibh tusa ar?
Bhí me bhí me mar an príomh critic, an príomh critic ar sin. Agus chamáile sin rinne mé PC méan na dóib ar fud an down ag féilsa sconáin. Rinne mé ceánig an Venice Film Festival, rinne mé ceánig an Sundance Festival, rinne mé ceánig Gorka an Gaile agus mar sin de. Agus freisin rinne mé bagnín oberlob le an underdog agus chlárcha mar sin.
Oh, an underdog sin mé
just chlár just rinne mé ceánig go sin. Aon lu a bhí rud a cinint tasta bob sort of DV segments mar sin de nach mission the PC sin. Ach seachas sin, tá stuff díaltag am le TG Gahar sconáin agus rudí mar sin agus golóir bud an tagfuil hána blianta le réidir na gaeltacht freisin.
Right, mar léirthóir.
Mar láirthóir agus PC bag mar léirthóir le rudí neafsblach agus mar sin de.
All right. Agus cuca barlat.
Oh, it's small and gachrod. Einot will me on overall, mata she tasta way agus aggregate martian day,
Ashtor too. Screed nor.
Then
to gachrod.
Yeah.
I recognise that word, Ashtor.
Ashtor is Ashtor Claire, come on.
And a lot of my work, I do a lot of work in radio with BAI funding, and they're fantastic. You just send the stuff in, and if it's good enough, you get it. If it's not good enough, you get a long list of what's what needs to be changed for them to look at it, and you go back to it. Whereas there's a lot of other funders where you get a no and you don't get the same kind of feedback, and you're just going around in a circle for your
Where's
own
the
tail.
next after Lost and Found? What's your
next?
Well,
the next probably, because it's coming out on July 13th in cinemas across Ireland.
Watch out for it. July 13th.
And go in the first weekend, because if you don't go in the first weekend, and if not many people go in the first weekend, then it just dies in its fucking arse. Yeah, sorry, can I say a bad word?
Yeah. We'll bleep it out.
We'll bleep it out. But if it does well, it stays in those cinemas, it moves to other cinemas, and then slowly it becomes the sleeper hit of the movie, of the summer. It's not starting out for films, particularly for independent films in Ireland, a great summer because of the weather. The weather is just way too hot.
It's not summer weather.
And the world
so great for crappy summer.
I'm hoping for some rain around the July 13th for about a week.
That shouldn't be a difficult.
If you want the rain, it won't come. You know. So that's
true.
and then after that, it's going to get released.
Well, it tends to rain more in Galway, so I'd say you'll pack out in Galway.
Well, probably will, and then in October it's going to be out in the UK, and then. We're doing film festivals besides that, and then hopefully US at some point, and then see what happens, and then maybe hopefully make another film with a bit more money this time, because I actually want to get paid.
I read a little fact that you worked with George Clooney.
Unwittingly. Not unwittingly on my behalf.
Shockingly. Claire is a female who finds George Clooney attractive.
Most don't.
So. Really?
I think most of his success is from the male sort of side, where people just go, yes, we like George, the action, particularly Batman. That's. I probably shouldn't really slag, to be honest.
He gets more attractive as he gets older.
Right.
So do you want to tell us about...
By that period when he's 80, he'll be irresistible.
Yes. Oh, totally. Yeah.
Right.
So how did you end up working with George Clooney?
Well, I did a film in 98, 99 called The Book That Wrote Itself, which was about a guy who wrote a book that no publisher wanted to touch. And this is obviously back before the self-publishing, where you could put it up online and stick yourself. You needed a real publisher. So every publisher ridiculed him because his book was set 200 years ago. It was a sort of a fantasy, strange novel with quest novel, where there was loads of quests, sort of, type Jason and the Argonauts, that kind of, Jason and the Golden Fleece and whatever, those type of thing, and set in Ireland and about high kings. And he decided, okay, I'll show the publishers that this is a real story. It could happen for real. So he lives out the story of the novel and gets somebody to videotape him. And then he meets somebody at the Galway Film Festival who says, or Galway Film Flag on, this is not really a book, this would be a fantastic movie. So the character goes off to Venice and Venice Film Festival decides to audition movie stars. So what we did is we went off and got a press pass, and if you did something in a press place and they were real people and not somebody pretending to be them, you were sort of covered, and it was part of the Q&A type thing, and you were asking them questions that was relevant to them and relevant to you, and whatever. So it was kind of done in a mockumentary sort of way, and that's the reason why we were able to do it and get away with it. So we had Clooney, De Niro, Kenneth Branagh, Chaz Palminteri, and loads of different people like that.
It's like Bowfinger, kind of.
Yeah, it was like Bowfinger.
Or Zeb and Dublin.
Yeah.
But what would you like to do next? What's your...
I'd like to do something next that I get paid to do, which as a film would be fantastic, Yeah, because I've put so much time and I put money into everything. I've invested a lot. Like I usually sell the stuff afterwards and hope to recoup what I've put in, and then you kind of get tired and you move on to the next thing. So it'd be nice to actually do something where somebody else is funding it, And I have a relationship with different funders here now.
Did you get funding for Lost and Found?
No, I didn't. I didn't go looking for funding when we were making it because I didn't know if it was going to come together, and then trying to go with somebody saying, I'm going to make these 7 stories, don't know how they're going to come together.
5 years, I'd say that would be a hard sell.
But I did go to the Irish Film Board, now Screen Ireland, and I did ask them for completion funding, and they turned it down. They also turned down my previous movie as well, but they gave me some completion for my first film, Book the Road Us Up, the one with Clooney, in 98, 99, and then since then, very, very little. Very, very little. That's what I was saying earlier. You're dealing with something like BAI on funding, they give you the tick list, and they tell you, and then you can go back and keep going back till eventually that you either realise they don't want it, or they give you stuff. Film Board, Screen Ireland, you get feedback, but it's not very, in my experience, is not very, it's not hugely helpful. You don't quite know where you're going right or where you're going wrong.
It's a whole skill in itself, I think, the whole submission process of getting funding and stuff like that, and you can either concentrate on that or concentrate on writing, and sometimes doing both.
So maybe what I need to do is I need to set up a company and hire one of the ex-employees of the film board, because they get a majority of the funding that goes out goes to, and this is not something that's hidden or not known. They put all of their stuff up on their website, and you can click down and see every quarter who got what money, which companies, and then you also know who worked for them. So if I found that increasingly, if you're on the board, the amount of stuff that you get just over that time onwards just goes up, which it could just be coincidence. Or if you worked for them and you go work for one of the major companies, or you set up your own company, it goes up, the success rate of your application.
So if you've one bit of advice for no budget viewers, I mean, filmmakers starting out, what would you give them?
I suppose what you always say to people is, like, write about something. If you're a writer, write about something you know. Because it's, you know what I mean, like, that's where you have experience and you have life experience in, and and then don't be afraid to pick up a camera. Don't be afraid to go out there and do something. Don't be afraid to fail. I'm more afraid of not trying than I am of trying. And I just think that's advice, just go out and do it. And if it doesn't work, then go on to the next thing. So, but at least you've tried, and experience. And go to film college if you want. If not, do one of the courses. No, I didn't go to film college. I did, as I said, I did. No, I studied theatre for like 2 years, and then I decided to become a writer to get better parts,
and that's the way to do it.
And then I decided, you got to produce, because you need to make sure that something comes out, and then you end up distributing stuff as well, because then you realize there's so many distributors out there, and it's very hard to get a slot,
Do you find it challenging being like an actor, writer, producer on this? Do you find it tricky to kind of switch?
I think if it's theatre, maybe more so. I'm not saying it's easy, but like with film, you're shooting it, you can look at playback. You can, you get somebody to stand in for you to see where everything is, and you're checking out your shots, and you know how it looks, your frame. Then you film it, and then if you're happy, you go, okay, and you can look at your playback, and if it's not working, you go and you do it again. And it just depends. And for something like this kind of film where I have a main character in 2 of them, and in the other ones I have a smaller character. So it was kind of nice to be able to be behind the camera sometimes and not actually be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. But listen, thank you so much for coming in to see us here in No Budget.
We
really appreciate it. So check out Lost and Found, coming to cinemas soon.